Hello everyone, I'm John Maxey, and today I'm talking to Tori Purcell about a fun student council trip she just went on. How are you doing?
I'm good, John.
All right, that's good. I can tell by your smile. So, where did you and the rest of the student council go?
The student council went over to Interborough High School.
Okay, and what were you guys doing there? What was it for?
Well, Mr. Stein, our vice principal here, he actually used to be a social studies teacher over at Interborough.
Mm-hmm.
So he was actually very involved with their student council. I believe he was a co-advisor last year over there. So he was very involved, and their student council over there just does a lot of activities, is a very involved student council. So we sort of just shadowed them throughout the day to see how they pull off their events and just to get some advice from them.
So what was the point of this trip, to exchange ideas?
Yes, definitely. We went over there to sort of, in particular, they have a powder puff tournament, and that's what we're trying to have over here at Norristown. And we just sort of shadowed them and wanted to see how they go out throughout their day and have their meetings and how they get more involved with the student body.
All right. Did all of our student council go? Who went?
We had about 20 students go over and shadow, and then they sort of paired us off. I was with the president of student council.
Okay. Yeah, take us through your day. What did you do?
So we got there and they fed us breakfast, which was very nice. And we sort of just were sitting, eating, and then from there, their president introduced herself. They split us up into groups, and we went with our person. So they had split us up by initially officers, and then if you weren't an officer, they sort of just paired you off with someone. And we went to their classes for the day, so I actually got to see some of the classes that they have there. And,
Did you learn anything?
You know, I took care of kids, so that was interesting. Yeah, they actually have a daycare over there.
Oh, they have a daycare in their high school. Okay.
So it was interesting. And I also got to go to AP Gov, which I missed that day I went to school, so I got to learn some things in AP Gov. But first, they had a student council meeting, and they actually have student council meetings during the day sometimes. They run it a little bit differently than us. They usually have one full meeting about once a month, and then they have committee meetings throughout the month after that, which I like that idea a lot. It was during school. They pulled the kids out of their first period, I believe, and they had in their auditorium. They're a much smaller school, so there was probably 300 per grade. So, but their student council is bigger than ours. It's probably about 80 students. So they had in their auditorium, which was smaller than ours. But they ran the meeting there. The officers sat on the stage. They went through their agenda, and they sort of just broke everything down and talked in their committees and talked about upcoming events.
Well, thank you for that detailed breakdown of your day.
Absolutely.
Was there a best part for you, the part that you enjoyed most?
You know, I thought it was really interesting just getting to bounce ideas off of each other. We discussed with Milo and I, my co-president, we discussed with the president about how she sort of runs things and how she gets the most work done and what she finds efficient. And I found that was really interesting, you know, getting to talk to another student council to see how they work things out and the things that they go through to get things done at their school.
What are some of those new ideas that you learned?
Well, we definitely learned a lot about the powder puff tournament, some of the rules, how big the teams were, how to sort of do our halftime show and things like that. And they gave us a lot of ideas for that. And we also told them about Mr. Norristown a little bit. And they're actually going to come back here and they're going to shadow us. Okay. And we're going to show them a little bit about how we do Mr. Norristown, how we pull that off, just so that they can make theirs a little bit bigger. They also have, and I'm not quite sure the correct terminology of this, but I'm pretty sure it's called a bachelor bid. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of when for their, they have a dance, they have a winter dance, I believe, and they have their senior boys go up and they sort of do a little act or whatever, and then after that, the girls can actually buy them as their date for the dance.
They auction them off.
Right. And I think they said someone was bought for about $40. So it's like interesting. I'm not quite sure we could do that here, but it was an interesting idea to hear that it actually works at some schools. So I just thought that was cool. It was a different environment to sort of learn things about.
When are they coming here?
I believe the date is March 8th, and that is coming up soon. So they'll be here pretty soon. I believe that's a half day. So I'm pretty sure what we're going to do is show them how we build the sets for Mr. Norristown. They'll probably shadow a little bit of classes because our classes are shorter those days, just so that they get to see sort of what Norristown life is like.
Well, it's coming up soon. They'll be here soon.
Yeah, I know.
Do you guys, you and your other officers, have you discussed about acting on any of these new ideas you learned or possibly changing anything like the way you run meetings?
I think for sure we're going to start changing our meetings. I really like the committee idea. We've tried to have committees in the past and they didn't work out too well, but I think it's more of just about having responsibility on certain people and sort of holding people accountable. And that's what they do there. So I think that's a much better idea. I really like that. And having a meeting during school once a month, maybe, I think that'll actually have a better turnout. A lot of times here we have trouble with people getting rides and things like that. So I think that could actually help us a lot. Having just one meeting during the month with everyone and just informing everyone of what the committees have been doing rather than having this huge student council trying to make decisions in our 20-minute meeting on Wednesday mornings.
Sounds good to me. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Just thought it was a really great trip, and we had a lot of fun, and I hope we get to see a lot of good stuff when they come here.
All right, sounds like you guys learned a lot. I thank you for joining me. I'm John Maxey. I just talked to Tori Purcell about the exhilarating trip that her and some of her Stuco members went on to Interborough High School. Now, back to the Eagle's Eye.